What's up guys, it's me, Strawhead Nate, and I'm back this week with a new One Piece video. Here we have chapter 1122, titled The Time is at Hand. As I say in almost every video nowadays, this chapter really feels like it's the end of the Egghead arc. The chapter ends with a lot of the fights and situations that were going on Egghead Island for many chapters, feeling very conclusive. To briefly list all the things that conclude here, we have the end of Vegapunk's broadcast to the world, the end of Emeth's fight with the Gorosei, and the end of the Straw Hat escape effort. Not to mention, we also get a crazy bit of information this chapter about Joy Boy, along with a flashback into the Void Century, the first time we're ever seeing any of this. So if you want to know more about what we learn about the Void Century in this chapter, then stay to the end of this video. Now, without further ado, let's start going through the chapter after you like the video and subscribe to the channel. To start off, the cover this week is very special. Instead of a color spread or a cover story, Oda decided to draw a picture of Smoker to commemorate Horikoshi, the author of My Hero Academia, as it's ending this week. 22 years ago, during the Alabasta arc, a very young Horikoshi drew Smoker as a fan art, and Oda decided to recreate it now that Horikoshi's manga has ended. It puts into perspective the fact that all of My Hero Academia started and finished within One Piece's tenure. But now, to really begin the chapter, we start by traveling to many places around the world. We see even more reactions to Vegapunk's message with random citizens, and this comes right after his reveal that whoever controls the One Piece will control the world. Most people are scared of this because pirates are really supposed to be the villains of this world. But then we also see a group of pirates who are very excited because it's the beginning of another pirate era. Like how Whitebeard did when he died, the message will reinvigorate the search for the One Piece for a lot of pirates. Then in Impel Down, the imprisoned pirates also show excitement, and they're able to hear this message because of the message being forcibly played on every single Dendemushi around the world. This is proven because the prison guards even try to shut down the message, but they can't. After this, Kobe is shown in his hospital bed, thinking of how his friend Luffy wants to find the One Piece and be king of the pirates. He decided here that he must stop Luffy from achieving his dreams for the good of the world. And it is believable because Kobe looks dead serious here. Next, Buggy is shown because he lets his followers know that the world won't just belong to him after they find the One Piece, it'll belong to everyone in the Cross Guild. Like with everything else Buggy says, his followers go crazy here in adoration of their captain. He is actually just a puppet though, because in the next panel, Crocodile just tells Buggy to sit down and chill out, and he complies nervously. Then we check in on Katarina Devon, who is calling Blackbeard about the situation with Caribou, who wants to meet with him. Blackbeard says that he will meet with Caribou for information, but if the information disappoints him, Caribou will be killed. But Caribou might have some good information about the ancient weapons, so I think he'll be spared. Now, after all that traveling, we finally get into the fighting on Egghead Island, where Emeth is getting brutally attacked by Warcury. This harsh beating that he's taking causes internal damage to the point where the broadcasting Dendemushi inside of him explodes. The death of this little guy marks the end of Vegapunk's broadcast to the world, after many chapters of it dragging on. And then in the sky, Nisjuro is right back on the tail of the Sunny, even after Atlas's sacrifice last chapter, so it proves that he is a really fast healer. Zoro prepares to fight back, while the other people on the ship, like Usopp, Nami, and Chopper, cower in fear. And then Emeth, on the ground, apologizes to Joy Boy for not being strong enough, and then he apologizes to Luffy for calling him the wrong name multiple times. Luffy must look so similar to Joy Boy that he is able to mistake one for the other like he did. Emeth tells Luffy telepathically that he's failed to make Joy Boy king in the past, which Luffy is genuinely curious about and wants to learn more, but unfortunately their conversation can't continue on much longer. In an epic panel, all of the separate battles on Egghead Island converge into one place, and it is a very chaotic scene filled with all the Gorosei and the ships that are trying to leave, and Emeth too. And then Luffy tells Emeth his name so he doesn't keep calling him Joy Boy, as Emeth prepares his ultimate final attack. Emeth takes notice of the D in Luffy's name, and then he also thanks him for letting him hear the drums of liberation once again, all while the knot inside of him comes undone. The undoing of this knot inside of him sends out a massive blast of Conqueror's Haki across the island. We learn later in this chapter, but I'll just say it here, that this is Joy Boy's Haki that was stored inside of Emeth for 800 years. So it must have been the strongest Haki we've ever seen if it did all that it did. The Haki blast is so strong that it knocks out thousands of Marines and makes the Vice Admirals struggle to even stand up. The craziest part of it all is that the Haki forces the 4 Gorosei members who are here out of their demon forms into their human forms. With this, they all get reverse summoned back to Marijois, where Mars is sitting there waiting for them. But not all of them got transferred back, because Saturn gets left behind, since he traveled to Egghead via normal methods of transportation and not summoning circles. And here in the castle where the Gorosei are, Emu is filled with rage because he is reminded of Joy Boy. Joy Boy and Emu must have been complete enemies because of the way that Emu is freaking out here. But now that all of the enemies of Egghead are gone, all that's left is to land the Sunny safely, which they do, of course. The Sunny lands besides the Elbaf ship, so Luffy is there to greet his friends as they land. They are all happy to have landed safely, but Nami in the back thinks about Edison and Atlas as sacrifices, because they really wouldn't have been able to escape without them. Meanwhile, we see Dory and Bragi on the Elbaf ship in utter shock and confusion at what they just witnessed with Emeth. And speaking of Emeth now, we see him standing face to face with the human form of Saint Saturn, but it seems like the fighting is done. Now we are treated to a flashback from Emeth, where we visit the Void Sentry and see the silhouette of Joy Boy. In this scene, Joy Boy tells Emeth about the Haki seal that he's placing inside of him in order to be used at some point when he needs it in the future. In these panels, Joy Boy is regular size, is wearing a straw hat like Luffy, has a peg leg, I think, and is standing on a large box or building. Meanwhile, Emeth is more clean, since it's 800 years ago, obviously, and we see an X mark on his arm, like the one that the Straw Hats put on for their promise to Vivi in Alabasta. So, Joy Boy knows that Emeth will outlive him, so he's preparing to continue on the fight of his side into the future for the freedom of the world. Also, the knot is a way to have Joy Boy be always with Emeth, which makes Emeth happy. It is also an overall sad story though, because Emeth had to wait hundreds of years in loneliness until he woke up by Luffy's Gear 5 recently. That's the end of this chapter now. It was fascinating to see the flashback of Joy Boy's time right here in this chapter, because I thought we'd have to wait till we actually find the One Piece. But it doesn't actually give a lot of information about him in typical Oda fashion. The conclusion of all these fights on Egghead were cool to see, but I personally believe that there will be a little bit more to the Egghead arc in order to wrap all the things up, which will all happen in next chapter. After all that is done, we'll be off to Elbaf, or maybe we'll jump around the world first to see other plot threads still going on. And in this chapter, Kobe, Blackbeard, and Buggy were shown, so I think that there's a high chance that we see some more characters from that epic double page spread from last chapter get their own scenes. Maybe Shanks or Sabo or even Garland, Figarland. Next chapter could honestly be taken in any direction, so we'll have to wait and see where Oda takes it. I think there'll be a full break of Shonen Jump next week, so we might have to wait 2 weeks for more One Piece. So if you made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to show your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.